Good, happy Wednesday morning, October 30, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday morning, so let's begin. First up, Sanborn Regional High School teacher on leave after explicit photo posted online. Photos of teacher posted without consent, officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
At Beltates, customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Beltates Building Products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
A Sanborn Regional High School teacher is on paid administrative leave tonight. District officials declined to go on camera, but sent a letter out to school staff and parents today, saying at noon yesterday they were made aware of an allegation of inappropriate conduct regarding a high school teacher. The situation involves private, explicit pictures that were posted online without the teacher's consent. Kingston police also telling News 9 tonight that the website not only had photos of the teacher, but several other former students as well. Authorities are investigating the situation. Meantime, the district says, quote, providing a quality education for all of our students remains the district's top priority, and we are working hard to ensure that this staff member's absence does not negatively impact the children. They also tell parents there's no safety concern for staff or students, and they're working on stopping the spread of the photos.
Picture of the teacher went around the school, like mass texted and everything. Pretty much just stopped spreading it around right now.
And the investigation is ongoing. School district officials say they will release more information to parents when they are able. Live in Kingston, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. No one injured in crash involving school bus in Belmont. Police bus hit car that had just made U-turn. No one was hurt after a car hit a school bus in Belmont on Tuesday afternoon. Belmont police said around 2:35 p.m. the driver of a Buick traveling on Pleasant Valley crossed over Gilmington Road and then made a U-turn to cross back over Gilmington Road. Police said at that point, the driver went into the path of the school bus traveling on Gilmington Road. Officers said the bus driver tried to swerve out of the way of the car, but could not avoid impact. Officers said the bus, no injuries were involved in the crash and no one needed any medical attention. Police said the bus was operated by First Student but did not release what school in the students were on board were from. Video taken from the dash cam of a driver passing the accident scene showed the bus said Gilmington School District on the side. Police said the driver of the Buick did not look in both directions before making the U-turn and that the bus driver was not in fault of the crash. Investigation shows state trooper did not lie during hearing, officials say. Review of video shows that the trooper couldn't see bag in man's hand, investigators say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Hey friends, Mark Kelly here. If you're ready for common sense solutions that will make our communities safer.
After a lengthy investigation, state and federal authorities exonerated New Hampshire State Trooper Francisco Vicente, who was accused of lying during a court hearing.
We are taking this opportunity to apprise the public of the results of our review and announce that Trooper Vicente emerges from that review unscathed.
Trooper Vicente was part of a two-state drug investigation and testified to the court last year that he didn't see a bag in the hand of a suspect who was under surveillance in Lowell. Defense lawyers produced a video from a nail salon that clearly shows the man carrying a bag in his right hand. But after hundreds of hours of investigation, officials concluded that given the trooper's position, the time of day, and the driving snowstorm, Vicente simply couldn't see the bag and was telling the truth when asked.
My office is satisfied that Trooper Vicente did not engage in falsification during the course of his testimony at that hearing.
State and federal officials say this testimony didn't impact any of the cases associated with this operation. State police say Trooper Vicente was never sanctioned or reprimanded during the investigation, but said the ordeal has been difficult.
I personally want to say sorry to Trooper Vicente and his family for having to endure such an experience over a long period of time, but I also want to thank him at the same time for upholding the strongest traditions of the New Hampshire State Police, that of being integrity.
Colonel Wagner also said today that Trooper Vicente cooperated fully with the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney in this investigation. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Warren says she'll keep fighting as primary campaign enters crucial stretch. Democratic presidential candidate holds more events in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Hey friends, Mark Kelly here. If you're ready for common sense solutions that will make our communities safer from gun violence, I need you to make your voice heard today. Sign our petition. Tell the Senate to pass background checks now. And thank you for your support.
From her first event in Manchester back in January, to big summertime crowds in the White Mountains, to this late October town hall in Laconia, Elizabeth Warren has been a first-in-the-nation campaign trail fixture, here regularly, making her case for what she calls big structural change. Was this all part of the plan?
You know, in a sense it is, because the plan was to get out and talk to as many people as possible about what's broken in Washington.
Warren's candidacy has been driven by her ambitious policy plans, funded by a proposed ultra-millionaire tax. She's now accounted for every penny of the $2.75 trillion she expects it to bring in. Now that you've allocated the money from the wealth tax, do you worry at all about having anything else that's big to capture the attention of the voters?
Nope. You know, the wealth tax is powerfully important. The 2-cent tax on fortunes above $50 million. And that's what lets us pay for universal child care, universal pre-K.
There's a lot more on that list, and while plenty of Democrats are getting on board, Warren still faces skepticism from some corners of her party. How do you win them over as this race hits the final 100 days here?
You know, I just want to talk to him about what I'm fighting for.
That word, fight, is one the senator uses a lot, and it could help attract voters looking for a candidate to take on President Trump. But for Warren, the next big struggle is a Medicare for All plan that is still in the works.
Do you feel pressure not to overburden the middle class with this plan?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Look, I've spent a lifetime on the question of what's happening to working families. We got to relieve the pressure on the middle class.
In Laconia, Adam Sexton, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Once again, history to be made as first in the nation primary filing period opens today. Secretary of State Gardner to oversee 11th primary of his 43 years in top election post. For the 11th time in his 43 years as New Hampshire's Secretary of State, William M. Gardner will oversee the filing period for the first in the nation presidential primary beginning Wednesday. Gardner, who nearly won a 22nd term as the state's top election official in a vote by state lawmakers last December, will continue the tradition of welcoming candidate after candidate into his second floor State House office. He'll show them the legendary desk donated by the family of late State Rep Stephen Bullock, who authored the first primary law in 1913. He'll give them a bit of historical perspective, and he'll likely show them the poster he created for the 2020 New Hampshire primary, celebrating the 100 years that have passed since the contest began, the first in the nation. While the 2020 primary campaign has been underway for a year, the filing period brings it into an even sharper focus. Now it's for real. Filing period opens for New Hampshire primary. Candidates expected to troop into State House over the next coming days. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Filing for the New Hampshire primary is one of the few times presidential campaigns can really go over the top here. Like in 1995, when Bob Dole arrived in a train with a marching band. Or 1987, when George Bush brought along Red Sox great Ted Williams.
I'm very happy to be on his team.
4 years ago, Bernie Sanders filed and held a big rally in front of the State House. Future President Donald Trump signed up and made a joke about the filing fee.
So this is from a bank that's not actually as rich as we are, right?
But that $1,000 is actually one of the lowest barriers of entry for any primary in the nation. Secretary of State Bill Gardner explained that to us 32 years ago.
Here, it's because it's the first primary, it's open, and it's a tradition in this state to have access to the ballot. And we cherish that and feel that we're willing to let the citizens of New Hampshire pick from amongst a lengthy list of candidates.
You haven't aged a bit since we did this in 2000.
Gardner has been a constant presence over the last 4 decades. He's there for the top candidates and whoever else walks through the door.
Rory Calhoun, proud to take the hat off.
Sometimes the biggest story is who doesn't show up. Mario Cuomo kept everyone in suspense in 1991, but decided to stay in New York.
There's always something that you don't expect that happens.
So as yet another filing period opens, we'll see familiar faces.
This time I got the right guy.
And perhaps the next president. Just don't forget that filing fee.
Yep. Check.
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for today, October 30, 2019. We have 3 candidates today in New Hampshire. The first candidate we are going to talk about, Pete Buttigieg. He has 3 events today in New Hampshire. His first event, Pete for America New Hampshire filing rally at the State House in Concord, New Hampshire at 12:15 p.m. His second event, walking tour of downtown Milford, New Hampshire at 4 o'clock p.m. And his third event, town hall at Peterborough Town Hall in Peterborough, New Hampshire at 5:30 p.m. Bernie Sanders has 1 event today in New Hampshire. Rally at Keene State College in Keene, New Hampshire at 6:30 p.m. And Elizabeth Warren has 1 event today in New Hampshire, speaking at UNH's 2020 presidential primary speaking series at UNH in Durham, New Hampshire at 12:30 p.m. And those are all the candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. U.S. futures point to mixed open as investors await Fed rate decision. U.S. stock index futures were mixed on Wednesday morning as market participants awaited for the Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates. California fires. Biggest winds in years threaten LA. This fire explodes to 75,000 acres. The biggest sand and wind event in years may be heading to Southern California Tuesday night, making the dangerous wildfires even more unpredictable. A whopping 43 counties in California are experiencing red flag warnings as firefighters brace for a historic wind event expected to start Tuesday night, the governor told reporters. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.